Hey, Marie, war is about killing. You get out of wars by killing enough of the other guys so that they either quit or they're gone. They're dead, they're gone, they're finished.
If you delay the fight, you will eventually be fighting them for your life.
What was then Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and then changed their name to the Islamic State of Iraq, and of course then morphed into ISIS.
It's going to come and end up on our shores. It's coming.
This is a religious war.
No one is safe. The holy war begins.
We need to kill more. We've got to kill as many as we can and as quickly as we can.
To kill more of them than actually enlist. For every new recruit, we should try to kill 4.
And figure out how to croak as many of these pigs as we can.
We need to harness that energy and focus it to kill this enemy.
We should open a flag company, and then whoever buys an ISIS flag, you follow them home and kill everybody.
The safety of the United States requires the absolute obliteration of ISIS.
What would it take to defeat this enemy?
Just go in and get them, capture them, kill them, and then leave, right?
What you just described would require going into Syria. He's not even prepared.
So what? So you go into Syria. Who's going to complain about that? Who?
Sounds like Vegas.
What's going on, y'all? You're listening to Occupy the Media. I'm your host, Paco Elijah. Today's Sunday, February the 22nd. You could catch me every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, same site, lacrlc.org. Again, that's lacrlc.org, and we'll have the videos up every week on YouTube, Paco757. You could check me out there. So I want to get straight into it this week. If you've been listening, especially to Fox News, I like to call the biggest recruiter for ISIS. If you know what I mean, just listening to the videos earlier that we put together to kind of give you an idea of all the talking about all the killing we got to do, the bombing we got to do. We got to put down troops on the ground. ISIS is about to swim up on shore. They're about to cross the border. They're under your bed. They're in your closet. There's going to be ISIS ghosts soon. It's just getting berserk and bizarre. Telling us people are joining ISIS in record numbers. They're spreading all over the globe. People really need to sit back and really look at what's going on and think about this. When Fox News is comparing ISIS to the Nazis, a superpower like Hitler, we are comparing with ISIS. ISIS doesn't even have a military. They don't have an army. The nerve that they could actually compare them to Nazis and scare you into thinking that they're a real threat. That they're a real threat to Christians too. There's a threat to Christians and there's a threat to Muslims, and it's called government. That's the biggest threat. Okay? Now, there's a couple of things basically I want to get into on the show that we're going to talk about. Boots on the ground. It's all over the media. If you've been listening to the propaganda, they are preparing to get us for war again in Syria to overthrow Assad. That's who's next. He's next on our hit list. And I know Iran one of these years is next. We're going to talk about Ben Carson flip-flops on war and intervention back when he was asked before about putting troops on the ground. Also want to get into some recent headlines and what was going on this week, and talk about this narrative that's been going on with Fox News and Obama. Because here at Occupy the Media, that's the point I'm trying to get across is there's a narrative, there's a script that's being followed. Everything is being played out for a reason. So right now in the media, what do we hear going on? Why won't Obama call it radical Islam? And why won't he do more? And all we're really doing is just bombing and doing air campaigns, and that's not enough. You see, there's a fake debate being manufactured in the media. See, they want you to get all wild up and hype and play right along into it. When Obama and his officials didn't call it radical Islam and they didn't call the victims Christians, they knew what they were doing. It was all done strategically. They just planted the bait, and then Fox News jumped on it. The right jumped on it. Now let's get all mad at him all week because he won't call it radical Islam, and let's make it seem like he's weak on terrorism. because he won't call it that. He won't label it that. He's not doing enough. They want you to get mad and upset, not because he's not following the Constitution, but because he won't do more. You see, they're trying to take the anger that you got, the anger towards government, the anger towards Obama, and they're trying to channel that for their agenda. If they can get you to get mad and get wild up and upset at Obama and make you think he's not doing enough, then they can get you to call for more intervention. Instead of actually doing it and making you mad for them doing it, they rather you call for it by them tricking you into calling for it. And that's what this is. It's a trick. It's a mind game. It's to play on your emotions. Let's get you so scared of ISIS, not the real things you should be afraid of that's going on in this country, like the police state, like the police officers. No, let's get you scared of ISIS that is across the Atlantic, that's spreading everywhere like wildfire. They just everywhere. Everybody just falling for them. And I saw on the TV screen or on Facebook, they were passing around. They're like getting girls now with kittens or something like that, and Nutella or something to give them chocolate. What is this? Who's falling for this? It's just incredible. But they want you to call for it, and they want you to fall for it, and to call for more troops. And you know what? Every time that they call it a holy war, they give ISIS more credibility. They feed and they stoop to their level. They feed into what they want.
How would you stop the ISIS savages from murdering innocent people? How?
The first thing I would do is I think they're going to take advantage of your narrative of a holy war. I would never use that language.
And you see, Bill O'Reilly want everyone to tell him what we should do, how you're going to stop the terrorists, how you're going to destroy ISIS. How about it ain't our job to destroy ISIS? How about we stop creating more terrorists like ISIS and stop getting involved? You see, they all want you to think that there's chaos over there because we left. No, there's chaos over there because we went in. We should stop mingling, stop getting involved. But in reality, ISIS is just code name for Assad. We just really over there not to take over and to kill ISIS, but to take over and kill Assad. That's what we're there for. Regime change in Syria. But we can't call it that. We got to do it under the name of fighting terrorism, the war on terror. But again, as long as we keep feeding into them and giving them credibility, then more and more of them are going to grow, especially if we keep sending weapons over there and we keep going in there and bombing them and killing them and creating more hate and more violence, and then more people want to rise up against America. And what is next? What's going on in the news now? Let's put more boots on the ground.
What does the United States really need to do to defeat ISIS? Will it take troops on the ground?
We're talking about the possibility of U.S. ground forces maybe having to go back in.
That means boots on the ground.
We need to do it now. I would not hesitate to put boots on the ground.
We know the formula to defeat them. We've already done it before, and it's going to take some U.S. boots on the ground.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does that formula include U.S. troops on the ground?
We don't need to reinvade Iraq. We don't need to reoccupy Iraq, but we do need to put a few thousand troops on the ground.
Well, don't you think it has gotten to this point, Chris, because we don't have anybody on the ground?
It's more than just a military fight. It's a political fight. It's a diplomatic fight. It's an economic fight. It's an information fight. We need to leverage all of the elements of national power to defeat this enemy, and we need leadership on the ground.
We need people on the ground, whether it's paramilitary or military. We need people on the ground. You got to have U.S. forces, and you got to have NATO forces on the ground there. That's the only way to eliminate it.
Absolutely, because we're the best at it.
People who are yelling about us want us to do more. Always say no boots on the ground. We got 3,000. If we really want to get at ISIS, which now has more territory than the United Kingdom, it's going to take American leadership on the ground. I don't hear anybody talking about it.
To me, it's very easy to make a decision, go fight on the ground, because I'm not going.
That's right, you're not going. A lot of y'all aren't going. A lot of y'all never went, and you never will have to go. And that's why you're so much of a cheerleader for putting boots on the ground, is because you guys don't have to go, and a lot of you ain't sending your own family members over there to fight. If you had to go, you probably wouldn't be supporting it so much. Now, we got politicians that love to flip-flop, just like Mitt Romney and all the rest of them, and Ben Carson is no different. So now you see him on Fox News this week talking about he wouldn't hesitate to put troops on the ground, boots on the ground. Now, before, he was asked previously how he felt about Iraq and Afghanistan war, and he said he he wasn't for putting troops in harm's way. Basically, boots on the ground.
We have to begin to think that way rather than bombs and missiles. That's sort of archaic, to be honest with you. I approve of using lots of different techniques to accomplish our goals, but they don't necessarily involve putting our troops in harm's way. I would not hesitate to put boots on the ground. They don't necessarily involve putting our troops in harm's way. I would not hesitate to put boots on the ground.
You see, before he was more hesitant to put boots on the ground, but now it's different because it's ISIS. They're a real threat. They're scary. They're growing. They're spreading. So we got to go stop them. We got to stop them right now. And he's willing to use the military. He's willing to use sanctions, whatever it takes. And this is that flip-flopping that all these politicians do, always switching up. And now he's showing his true colors on the vaccine debate and also on the Second Amendment when it comes to Ben Carson. So we're all seeing that they're all just the same. They're all part of the establishment. They're all playing their part. And now that ISIS is supposedly a threat, now they're all falling in line calling for more war. They're no different. They're all the same. And now we got the Obama administration. Not only do we got to kill them and fight them, and now we got to try to stop people from joining by giving them jobs. We got to get them jobs now. And now that gives the right another reason to get mad. How dare you? We need to be over there killing them, and you're talking about jobs. Even Bill O'Reilly knows we can't fix their economies.
Stop living in a theoretical, even fictional world. America is not able to fix economies in third world nations. We are not able to force Islamic despots to respect human rights. We are not able to convince the Iranian mullahs to stop supporting and harboring terrorists and to cease with the nukes. We simply cannot do those things.
Just like we can't kill all the terrorists. We can't get rid of all of them. And as much as you want to send troops on the ground and boots on the ground and talk about we got to win this holy war and we got to get rid of them before they try to get rid of us, it's ridiculous. His to-do list is just as ridiculous as yours, thinking that we can stop terrorism. We can stop it through a barrel of a gun. If we want to slow it down or even try and stop it, we got to stop getting involved and stop sending weapons and guns and feeding into it. And that's the problem. That's how the same way that he's calling out Obama, he needs to be called out for the same thing. We shouldn't be involved at all. We shouldn't be trying to fix anything. But when you listen to Fox News, we're supposed to be the leader. We're supposed to take the lead. We're not even in the Middle East. We're over here in the West. So why do we need to be involved over there? And when they tell us that we got to be scared of ISIS and they're going to come up on our shore, we need to question that. How is it that this group out of nowhere is getting all this funding, all this money, all these weapons? How? How does that happen? And then they're spreading across the globe, even with the NSA watching, even with all the tapping that we're doing. All the CIA agents we got spread across the world, all the bases we got. This is just ridiculous. And then I think that it even showed up on the news months back, maybe almost a year back, that there was a truck from the U.S. over there in ISIS. They riding around with a plumber's truck from Texas. How does that happen? And now we also got in our headlines that in L.A., there's a studio that got caught in L.A., making videos for ISIS. Again, how is this? How is it that we have a Hollywood studio caught producing ISIS videos? Shockwaves are being felt all throughout Tinseltown today as federal authorities move to arrest several who are accused of aiding and abetting a foreign terrorist organization by producing ISIS recruitment videos. Are they talking about Fox News? That's what it sounds like. So there we go here. What is it? Around 2,300 hours last night, in conjunction with the Office of Homeland Security, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the LAPD, officers seized the assets at 42568 Vine Street, arresting 6 individuals. 2 additional suspected were apprehended at their residence at the same time. All 8 are being held as suspects in distributing and creating terrorist propaganda and are awaiting formal charges. This is just getting crazy. So ISIS is just spreading all over the place. Civilian deaths, injuries in Afghanistan soar 22%. soared 22%. A total of 3,699 Afghan civilians were killed and 6,849 wounded in the war last year, as fighting intensified in tandem with the sharp drawdown of U.S. and allied foreign troops who formally ended their combat role in December after 13 years. The 22% rise in civilian deaths and injuries, the highest total since the UN began keeping records in 2009, came despite U.S. generals' assessment that the newly trained Afghan army and police are winning the war. How is this winning? Ground battles killed 1,092 civilians and accounted for 34% of civilian deaths and injuries, compared to 28% caused by roadside bombs known as improvised explosive devices. Since 2001, nearly 3,500 foreign soldiers from 29 countries have been killed in Afghanistan, including about 2,200 Americans. And for what? For what? We already supposedly killed bin Laden, so why do we have more and more people dying? And what they're going to tell you, oh, it's chaotic because we left. No, it's chaotic because we went in. Let's see here. Also, FBI had spy in bedroom of German rapper turned ISIS poster boy. The German rapper who became a grisly poster boy for ISIS fell for the oldest trick in the book, according to a report that said the woman, Deso Dog, thought was his wife was an FBI spy. How convenient. Again, FBI involved in a terrorist plot or setting up a terrorist. They find these weak minds over here in the U.S. and then they give them money and weapons before they're about to do something and then say, oh, we almost had a terrorist attack. We stopped it. No, you provided it. You almost let it happen. And then you try to stop it right before it did. They never had the opportunity to become terrorists. Here's another headline. Alabama police officer arrested after Indian grandfather left partially paralyzed. Also, we have, when we come to the police state, Georgia police officer beat pregnant woman so hard she had a miscarriage because he didn't like the tone she was speaking in. Kenya Harris is suing Officer Ryan Jenkins for alleged May 2011 beating. She says Jenkins grabbed hold of her neck at Albany Police Department. He then slammed her to the floor, causing her to black out. It is alleged when she awoke, officer was sitting on her back with knee on her arm. Following day, Harris discovered she had miscarried as a result of force. She has named another officer and police chief in $50,000 plus lawsuit. Both accused officers have since left police department, it is reported. And who pays for that when there's a suit? The taxpayers. We have to deal with the police state and we got to pay for it, which is ridiculous. Now we have another headline, RoboCop helping disabled officers get back in the field. Talks about basically we're going to have robo-cops literally on the streets. They're just going to be robots. They're not even going to have police officers no more. And the robots will be doing, will be causing the police brutality. But basically, there's a couple of the headlines that I want to get into, but with the little issues that we had today with my computer and my audio, I kind of ran out of time to get that all together. So next week, we might have to jump into some of those articles, and also want to talk about the media with Brian Williams and how a lot of these talking heads are defending him, and they're getting nervous and scared. And if you noticed here recently with, I think it was Mother Jones that called out Bill O'Reilly, talking about that he may have been lying in a lot of his stories that he's been presenting. I wouldn't be surprised. They're all lying. But if you notice, a lot of them, or a few of them, are sticking up for Brian Williams. And it's because they know it could be them any day, any moment it could be them, because they're always lying. And it's about time that they're scared of it a little bit. Oh, it's dangerous. It's scary, the thought of all these people getting mad at Brian Williams and celebrating in his demise. Whatever. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. You guys check me out every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back on again. Should have the issues fixed out and ironed out now, so we shouldn't have to worry about the same thing. Don't forget to check me out, Facebook, Paco Elijah, and on YouTube. You could check out the show and the first episode if you missed it, Saving Private Brian. That's at Paco757 on YouTube. All right? Peace.